what happened first. The Enabling Act. The Patriot Act. Show the timeline of things happening, and maybe, Angel, use it as an educational device.
I think that's a fantastic idea, because I think that what's important is pointing out to people that, I always use the example, if your mother beats you and then your father beats you, it doesn't make it okay because both parents are beating you. And that's the situation that we're in right now. We have both sides beating the crap out of us, and all these people just completely ignore it, and they justify it because it's happening from the other party. Oh, well, what your party did was worse. So if there were a timeline that pointed out basically the horrible things that the government has done on both sides, it may help more people to open their eyes and realize what's going on. Of course, I also have a lot of hope in the next generation, the generation coming forward now, because I see them as being pretty informed about things that are going on.
Do you go to that stage, Danielle, where you maybe don't worry about convincing grandpa because that's kind of a lost cause, and you start to say, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some people that survive concentration camps that will go, oh, by the way, history is repeating itself. There are older people out there that are definitely awake and aware, but most people are so in their paradigm, especially when they get older, God and country and their Bible, and that's it. And they want to keep their eyes closed. And when they look on the front page of a major newspaper and it says NSA spying on its own citizens, I don't know if that old person is worth the conversation. I think it's the younger person that needs to be shown the previous history of this happening. And, maybe if you're going to put your energies in this, like Angel says, is, maybe go to the next generation.
I have to agree. And the reason why is they were there for all of this stuff before and ignored it then. So it's easy to say, well, yeah, I knew that happened. And okay. And they're still ignoring it. But there's a really energetic youth and kind of, the middle, where they're not really young, but, not at the older generations, the 30s, 40s, 50s, where they are starting to wake up. But the energetic youth, I mean, you have college age students and just a little older that are just wanting the knowledge now and just looking for it. And we have all these great alternative media sources and the new media sources that are giving out the truth and really putting it out there. And I think that it's going to be that group that's really going to take things back, because they're wanting the knowledge and they're ready to run with it and they're ready to do the actions to fix those things.
Alex, what do you think about that?
I kind of disagree, actually.
You think there's still a lot of power and influence in older people, and
tons.
And that I'm in the middle on this, because I can think.
I mean, you got to go for both.
There are a lot of white conservative old people that are now finally pissed off. Finally,
yeah.
It took them a decade, because now it's coming back on them. They've lost their property values on homes. They've lost some of their retirement funds they thought were guaranteed. And by the way, that started when their guys were in office. Now they're going to blame the guy on the left because that's what they do. But this isn't about left and right. This is the NSA. This is the National Security. This is grandma getting groped at the airports. They're starting to wake up more and more and more, because these stories aren't just once every 6 months. They're almost like once every 6 weeks now.
And you can show people on a local, on a state, and on a federal level, real world instances that has personally affected them. And whether it be something as minuscule as juvenile as red light cameras, or whether they didn't have the driver's license that they needed, or the right paperwork that they needed to go to the DMV, the government is almost doing everything it can to show these people exactly what they're all about. Now you put on top of this NSA, which we knew about. Look, we knew about this years ago. We just didn't have somebody to go out that was a whistleblower and say it, which is what people needed to hear, is that, okay, this guy was there. He saw all this stuff happening. But I would say, and I also live in Florida, and we got to realize how many old people are in Florida. But look, those guys were part of the 60s generation, right? Like, they got to recapture that radicalism that they had in their 60s. And maybe, you throw them a joint or two, maybe they'll figure it out.
The whistleblowers have been around forever. We've had Bill Binney on our show, too. And Bill really did talk about this, several, actually about a year and a half ago. He's part of the Whistleblowers Coalition with Sibel Edmonds. Mm-hmm. And it seems, Angel, that the more whistleblowers we get, like anything else, the first person to step forward in line is usually the toughest. And maybe you can get a domino effect, and you get more and more people feeling safe that they're not going to end up like a Bradley Manning. That's a different situation, by the way, in my own opinion, because of his military contract that he had. I believe in what Bradley Manning did consciously. I completely back that. But the law is going to smack him down because he did sign his name on a dotted line to voluntarily go into this army, and he had to live by their rules, and he didn't live by their rules, and they're going to use it against him. But what he did was whistleblow. He saw something, it affected his consciousness, and he decided to do something about it. This is the same thing. This is not as risky with this young fella. And Angel, let me ask you, I think you're what, 28, 29, right around there?
Yeah,
right?
Just turned 29.
And, how many young people? I'm 52, so I grew up in a land where I didn't have cameras watching me everywhere, and I'm a little bit more aware of how many there are now, and it bothers me. But most people my age are like, well, if you're not doing anything, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Are people in their 20s and 30s saying, oh, who cares? If you're not doing anything wrong, who cares? What do you say to those people?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't really interact with many people that think and feel that way. But my natural reaction when someone says something like that is, do you have to be doing something wrong to want privacy? I mean, it's a very simple concept. If I close my blinds when I'm changing, I'm doing it because I don't want people to watch me and to stare at me and to look at me. If I leave them open, then that's fair game. But if I close them, it's because I want some privacy. It doesn't mean that it's wrong for me to change my clothes.
You set your own rules of what your own version of your privacy is. And that's what I always thought that's the definition of what privacy was, Danielle. Some people don't care too much about it. Other people are actually very private and don't want their business information, numbers, phone numbers, emails, all of this stuff. Facebook posts, your pictures of your high school reunion.
Right.
Who knows what you put out there that you might say, wait a minute, it's in whose hands now? And it's been going on a long time, and now it's bubbling to the surface. And the whistleblower here, the whistleblower there, we're finding out it's pretty much across the board.
Well, and at the end of the day, shouldn't it be my choice what I want out there or not? I mean, no matter what, even when I'm not doing anything wrong, it should still be my choice. And they've made it so that there's so many laws and there's so many regulations and there's so many that everybody is doing something wrong. And when you have, and you don't want to, you're not doing it on purpose, but even police don't know all the laws. Even judges don't know all the laws because there's just that many. So everybody's doing something that would break something somewhere. So when you just have people watching you all the time, it's like they're just waiting. You can be
they're compiling that information as well. It's sitting in a file somewhere. You might mind your own business, and then when the government wants to come back around, Alex, and kick you in the butt. Hang on, Alex. He's away from the mic for a second.
I'm back.
Okay. And suddenly you get a knock on the door, and they got a file. It's kind of like Neo in the Matrix, where they have this huge file on you, and you go, "Where'd you get all that?" Oh, we've been compiling this for 10 years in a computer somewhere.
You have no privacy. They've eliminated any kind of privacy whatsoever. And here's the other thing that they keep talking about. Well, it's like we're putting it all into a box, and we're not going to take it out of the box until we need to take it out of the box. You shouldn't be able to put it in the box to begin with. Right. And who else is going into that box? Look, that box ain't secure. It ain't like the Social Security lockbox. Actually, it's less secure than the Social Security lockbox was. So you have all this going on, and they're making basically the Taj Mahal for hackers. And that's what's going to happen.
Utah.
You're going to put all this together, and then the hackers are going to get in there, and they will be able to ruin people's lives wholesale. It's going to be a cottage industry. Like, it'll be like this underground network. Well, I can go in there and we can destroy your girlfriend or your boyfriend. That's what they're putting together. And it's sad that this is what we've come to. But again, it shows you that one group created the infrastructure for it. The other one ran against it. Now the other one's in charge, and they went double down on what the other one was doing to begin with.
Well,
and it's going to be a continuation of that process as long as we have
what is the story, Angel Clark, of a hero in our country? If our hero has to get asylum in Iceland and live in Japan right now because he wants to help Americans, and he comes out, but he's so, what does it say about the United States government when it comes to people that are going to buck the system and do it? Julian Assange found out, Bradley Manning's found out, and who knows if Edward Snowden finds out the hard way too.
I think that he is going to find out the hard way, because I think honestly what they want to do is they want to make examples of these people, because they don't want everyone bucking against the system. They want everyone doing as they're told, keeping their heads down. And that, a lot of people have kind of an inherent fear